Welcome back to Columbus Brick by Brick, the podcast where we uncover the people, projects, and ideas shaping the future of our city. I'm your host, Jon Styer, broker and owner of Styer Real Estate Professionals, a boutique production-focused brokerage helping agents build thriving, scalable businesses through personalized coaching and hands-on support. Each week, we sit down with the leaders, business owners, and change makers who are building the fabric of Columbus, one brick at a time. And today, I'm thrilled to welcome Brent Swander, CEO of Columbus REALTORS. Brent has been at the center of some of the most important conversations happening in our market right now. From guiding nearly 10,000 realtors through major industry shifts to advocating for housing policies that will shape Central Ohio's growth for decades to come. In this episode, we'll talk about the bold steps Columbus REALTORS has taken to adapt to national practice changes, how agents can thrive in today's evolving market, and what reforms could unlock for the housing supply in our region that we desperately need. We'll also explore the power of community impact through the REALTORS Foundation, the role of technology in shaping the future of the MLS, and Brent's vision for the realtor experience 5 years from now. It's a conversation about leadership, advocacy, and building a future where both realtors and consumers can succeed. So let's dig in. Well, Brett, I want to thank you so much for being here on the podcast. I'm really excited to learn about you and about more about Columbus REALTORS in general. So thank you again. Before we get into the big issues that are shaping real estate in Columbus, I would love to start by introducing the viewers to you in your own words.
Yeah.
So if you could start with what your journey was that led you to becoming the CEO of Columbus REALTORS.
Well, thanks for having me, John. It's been quite an interesting journey. I grew up in a small rural farming community, Van Wert County. I actually grew up in Convoy, graduated with 68, 69 kids. Small Division IV school, 4-H, FFA, those kind of things.
Yep.
So I went to Bowling Green to sport management and marketing, and then ended up in politics. I worked for interned for a minor league baseball team in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They were at the time called the Fort Wayne Wizards.
Okay.
They're now the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. Interned for them for a summer, and baseball is a unique industry in and of itself. Because if you're working normal business hours during the day, but then if you have a homestand, you're working all those night games and all the weekend games too. So, the baseball teams and staff, they don't get much time off, unlike hockey or football. Okay. I mean, hockey you have games every, maybe 2-3 times a week, football once a week kind of thing. So
baseball is also the longest season too.
Exactly.
Of all the sports.
Yeah. So baseball is unique. Anyway, so then I ended up meeting now a friend at Bowling Green, and he was volunteering at the time in the White House, and like one conversation led to another, and then he was gracious enough to help me get my start in politics, and one thing led to another. I ended up serving some time in the White House on several national campaigns, 3 presidentials. Either in D.C. or Boston is where we were based out of. And then had some Ohio experience too. I worked on a congressional in 2006 down in Cincinnati, had some statewide experience here in Central Ohio as well. And then in 2012, I worked on a presidential campaign and was on the losing side of that. Mm-hmm. And realized that it was time to change paths.
Okay.
Politics is not mentally, emotionally, physically healthy whatsoever, especially when you're on the road. I think in 2012, I may have spent maybe 5-6 nights in my own bed here in Ohio. So time to settle down and figure out what I really want to do. And I was unemployed for many months after that, because when you're on the losing side of a campaign, it all comes to a grinding halt. Yeah. It's kind of like going back to athletics. It's kind of like the athlete who retires. And at that point, their world, they're still in it, but what they knew and what they were doing on a daily basis is over.
And like that.
And like that, yeah. And a lot of athletes struggle with that, right?
I'm sure.
So I ended up really applying for a lot of jobs. I knew I didn't want to go back to DC. I didn't want to do the politics anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up applying for a lot of different jobs. I didn't have a real estate background whatsoever. Didn't really know much about it, but I knew people, I knew politics, I knew government. So I could kind of navigate the government affairs role that I was lucky enough to get hired by our CEO at the time, Stan Collins.
Mm-hmm.
Hired me back here in May of 2013. And my first day on the job, I signed my new hire paperwork at Columbus REALTORS, and I literally left the office and went straight to the airport to go to D.C. for our mid-year legislative fly-in week, our mid-year legislative meetings, and advocacy week, advocating on behalf of all of our members. So
Mm-hmm.
that was my first real week on the job. Jumping right in, yeah. So, and I've actually hired several people like that now. Just straight hire and straight to DC. So.
It sounds like you were a good hire. You had some experience in DC.
I did. So I think it's worked out well.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that story. And so it's been over 10 years that you've been with Columbus REALTORS.
Yeah, going on 13. So.
And what year did you become CEO?
I became CEO in November of 2021.
2021. So
three and a half, almost 4 years.
Going on 4 years.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay.
And I love it. It's a different type of politics, and our members and listeners, viewers will understand this. It's political, but I answer to a board of directors now,
Sure.
right? And obviously, I employ our staff and our team, but I need to make sure the board's happy. I need to make sure our members are happy. You're not always going to make everyone happy by any means, right? But then I have a staff that I need to take great care of too, because they are really the face of the organization and who are dealing with handling our members and dealing with our members every day and providing those services. So, it's a different type of political, but I have a board, I have a membership, and I have the staff that I all care greatly about. So. And
you said something earlier that I latched onto that I think is really important, I'm sure, in your role, is that people.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are constantly looking to you for guidance or help or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the, whether I can pull a staff member aside and help coach, mentor them, or just helping the members, right? Like, hey, we don't need to get, let me say it this way. I can understand where they're coming from. Mm-hmm. We don't always have to see eye to eye.
Sure.
It's like that in marriage too, right?
Yeah.
With your kids.
Yeah.
I may not agree with you.
We're all on the same team.
We're all on the same team.
Yep.
We're in it together. Mm-hmm. We're not far from the James Cancer Hospital, right? I mean, there are some real world situations that need to be dealt with in that form of fashion.
Totally.
And not the severity of it is what drives me. But at the end of the day, we're not curing cancer.
Right. This is not life and death.
It is not. We are here to help.
I tell it to agents all the time.
Yeah, we're here to help. My job is to help our members, to help the consumer.
Yep. And
at the end of the day, especially working with realtors in our affiliates, there are a lot of entrepreneurs, A-type personalities, driven, motivated individuals who, they may or may not have a paycheck coming in.
Right.
They eat what they kill kind of mentality.
Completely.
And that in and of itself is something that when I talk and interview staff, have you worked with a volunteer membership before? Have you worked with leaders in this level or this capacity or volunteers on the committee level? And that's really important for our team to understand where our members are coming from and what drives and motivates them. Perfect. Yeah, no, and you're speaking my language, I will say for sure. That kind of leads us into the next question. So when you stepped into your CEO role, after you'd done years leading the government affairs, what were some of the first principles that guided you in your decisions throughout
what has been some of the most turbulent policy market shift in the past few years?
Probably first and foremost, control the controllables.
Mm-hmm.
There are just so many things that are out of my control, out of our control. What can we, quote unquote, control?
Mm-hmm.
And then take care of those things or those items. Also, when I talk about staff, like I love our team.
Yeah.
I think we've done an incredible job on the hiring front, and there was a lot of transition that happened.
Mm-hmm.
We have roughly 30 staff. There were quite a few retirements. I mean, we have legacy employees who've been there. Kathy Elliott on our team just hit 45 years.
Wow.
Corey Skinner, who retired a couple years ago, I think he was 48. Lynn Hackworth, and I shouldn't start naming names because I know I'm going to forget somebody. But, they were all 45-plus year employees.
That's incredible.
Incredible. And we have some new staff as well. So, I'd have to go run the exact numbers, but I'm going to say probably well over half of our staff is 3 years or less on the job. So to learn the real estate side, learn the association membership side is been challenging. But the point I want to make there is hire for fit, train for skill. I want to make sure that we have a culture, and I define culture. I heard this one time. Culture is what you practice, permit, and promote. If you permit it, you're practicing it. That means you're promoting it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always stuck with me. And I trust our team. I don't want to be the micromanager. So core principle, trust your team.
Yeah.
Let them do the job.
Mm-hmm.
I tell some of our staff often that if I have to do your job, I will find somebody else to do your job for you. And that's not a threat, right?
No. It's just the reality of the world that we live in.
Yep, exactly. And so hire for fit, train for skill, and trust your team. So they're control the controllables, hire for fit, train for skill. There's just so many other core principles. Put people first.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need, we have a volunteer leadership, making sure that they're out in front as much as possible. So,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that you guys do a great job of cultivating great leaders within the organization, both volunteer and on staff. So I commend you for that, especially with the turnover.
Yeah, we're trying.
Well, that's all you can do. I mean,
and as it directly relates to membership, it's meet our members where they are from a communication standpoint, from an education standpoint, from all aspects. Meet our members where they are, not where we want them to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that's incredibly important too, that we understand where our members are. And I think a staff member said this when we met going shortly after I became CEO. I wanted to talk about the customer service. Mm-hmm. Customer service is huge to me. If you know anything about my wife and I, we love great customer service, right? Yeah. And I want to make sure that I return that to our members. And so I was talking about customer service with our team, our staff one day, and we're sitting around the boardroom table, and I said, from the moment a new member becomes a member, what is their experience? And we talked through that. Mm-hmm. And then we talked about from the first time a member walks through our door. And I had a staff member say, "Hey, Brent, the members aren't coming to the building anymore." Mm-hmm. This was post-COVID. Mm-hmm. I mean, not to bring COVID up, but this was post-COVID. It was 2021, and our membership engagement had suffered greatly.
Right.
Because they weren't coming for classes. They weren't coming for events. We've had very few members coming through the door. So I think we'll probably talk about this a little bit later when we get into buyer representation classes and we start getting members into the office. I ask a question. How many of you have ever been to the office, into this building? Mm-hmm. This is your membership headquarters.
Right. And it's a nice building.
It's a great building.
Yeah.
Which I'll tell you that story too, John. Talk about customer service. But back to those who had never been to the building, our classroom was packed. It holds almost 90 people. Yeah. I would say 60 to 70 of them had never been in that building.
Wow.
So customer service, I want to talk about that again real quick. We when I started back in 2013, we had roughly 6,200 members, I believe the number was. And one of the biggest complaints or concerns that I had when I started in this role. And I'd go to area association meetings or talk to brokers, and they're like, Brent, are you guys in the office? I said, yeah, we've been back in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, why doesn't anyone ever answer the phone?
Mm.
And so it was a kind of an aha moment for me. We were now up to almost 10,000 members. So when we had 6,000 members, we had one person answering the phone. When we had 10,000 members, we had one person answering the phone. So we actually went through a pretty significant remodel of the office to create what we now have is the member experience team, so that when a member walks in the office, there are 4 team members who are ready, willing, and able to help greet our members with a smile, answer the phone. They are all cross-trained so that when one of them goes on vacation, they can enjoy vacation.
Love that.
So you don't just have one person who's doing lockboxes and one person who's answering the phones.
Right.
Tried to really make this a member experience and member engagement team. And so far, I think we're succeeding. So that was a big goal that just goes back to customer service.
Perfect. No, thank you for sharing that. And I think that you're succeeding. So congratulations. So let's transition a little bit into some of the changes that are reshaping how realtors work today.
Yep.
As everybody is aware, Columbus REALTORS they've implemented the NAR practice changes early, and they removed the compensation fields from the MLS, and we're requiring written buyer agreements. This is not news, but to set the stage, what's the single biggest mindset shift that you want agents and consumers to make about representation and value?
I think that last word is key, value.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, try to put ourselves in understanding where the other person is coming from. And what I mean by that in this specific context is agents who work with buyers and or sellers every day, does the client truly understand the value that you are providing, that you are a counselor, you're a firefighter, you're a negotiator, you are everything.
Right.
Our members have to talk about their value and the services that they're providing. And I don't like the word just bothers me. But you're not just putting their house on MLS.
Right.
You're not just putting the lockbox on. You're not just sending them leads from our MLS vendor from Flex to the buyers, right? You're the data. Our members are the data experts. They are, again, they're the firefighter, the negotiator. But for the realtor, how wrong could the transaction go? How badly?
Right.
But I think consumers may or may not get the full story from the agent or the realtor, the professional, of what they're actually doing.
What is the true value proposition?
Yeah, and so, you get into this 20-year-old debate that, it used to be the realtor had the listings first, if you will. Well, now everything's out there.
Right.
So our members need to define their value, and that's where the business models then come in too, of how each realtor works and how each brokerage works, and that's a business model that we as the association can't get into, but where brokerages and agents really compete against each other, but they're still a professional. They have full and total disclosure to the clients, and clients understand choices and how everyone's getting paid and why they're getting paid. Because you talk to some friends, I anecdotally will do this every once in a while, and you'll, hey, tell me what do you think about realtors? And they're like, oh, they do this, this, and this, and I understand why they're compensated in whatever form or fashion they're being compensated. And then others will say, yeah, I could do that on my own. I really don't need a realtor. But you do. Yeah. Right?
Very few and far between consumers are actually able to get it from start to finish accomplished as well as a realtor could.
Exactly. Yeah. Working with a professional. It just goes back to our members articulating their value and quite frankly, knowing their value.
Right. And I've run into agents that don't even realize all that they do. Realtors don't always realize that, hey, I've got all these pieces and parts to this business that I handle day in, day out, taking care of my clients.
Yep.
And you just don't even realize it because it's just part of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of that, though, too, is you all, our members, are on their phones at almost 24/7, right? And then our lending partners are trying to get pre-approvals drafted at 9 p.m. at night, right? So our client can go see a house the next day. So articulating that value, and it's not just air quotes for those listening here on audio, it's not quote unquote just putting a lockbox or putting it on MLS. There's so much more that goes into the transaction.
Definitely. Well, as we know, inventory is up year over year. Days on market are lengthening, and prices, they're still edging up.
Yep.
How do you think agents should recalibrate their pricing strategy and buyer counseling in showing their value to thrive in what looks like a more balanced, but it's still a competitive market?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, John. But what I would suggest or offer there is that it's really on that professional, that realtor's job, to understand the data so that they can talk to their consumer and their clients. Hey, here's an average day or average days on market. Maybe you break that down a little bit. Here's an average days on market for this zip code at this price point.
Right.
So setting the expectations in that our members have that data in front of them and can offer that not only to the buyers but to the sellers as well. And so it really goes back to our members being data experts and understanding their value and providing as much information that they can to their clients.
If you've been listening to this podcast, you know that I believe in building real estate businesses that are scalable and sustainable. And that's exactly what we help agents create at Styer Real Estate Professionals. If you're an agent who's ready to grow and tired of spinning your wheels, then consider this. Growth is change. At Styer Rep, we coach to your strengths, match tools to your style, and help you scale your business without burning out. And there's no fluff, there's no hang your license culture, just serious growth, real systems, and 100% commission when you cap. So head to styrrep.com/join us to start the conversation, because it's time to go from where you are to where you belong. And I think that, Columbus Realtors do a great job of providing that data. The MLS is such a hub, and there are so many tools on there that I think your average realtor may not even be aware of or have had the opportunity to experience. There is so much on there.
Yeah. And so, I actually have some stats pulled up here that we've reached 5,600 listings, which is the highest level since 2016, which is up 20%, almost 21% year over year.
Yeah.
And up 8%, almost 9% since June. Closed sales are at 2,900, up 2.7% year over year, but down from June. So these are some of the July numbers. So you're starting to see an increase in inventory, which is good for buyers.
Right.
But it's still, we don't have the necessary, I guess, months supply, which months supply really is the balance benchmark of if every house were to sell. It's usually around 5 to 6 months, and right now we're still, well below that. So about 2.5, 2.3 months inventory. Yeah. So we're creeping up there, but we still need inventory.
What's wild to me is that, I feel like the public is very anchored in what the real estate market looked like during COVID and just the wild seller's market that we experienced. And to your point, we're still in a seller's market here.
Yep.
It's a little bit more stabilized.
Yeah. Here's some interesting numbers too. Not to bore you with stats and data, but on August 13th, we actually had a 5.63% average on the 30-year fixed rate. And if rates were to drop to around 6% in Columbus and Central Ohio alone, 41,000 more households in the area could afford the median home price of $342,000.
Wow.
So lowering those rates, the 30-year fixed mortgage, to 6% would make 41,000 more households potential purchasers, bring them into the affordable range of 342,000. So around 10% of those would be buyers, meaning that you might see 4,000-ish homes sold if rates were to lower.
Well, when you say there's just over 5,000 on the market, I mean that's going to make a difference.
Yeah,
it's going to make a change.
Yep.
Okay, well, cool. Well, thank you for sharing that data. I do appreciate it and enjoy it. Let's shift a little bit from the current marketplace to a little bit more of a policy conversation. So, it's been projected that Columbus is going to add about 700,000 people by 2050. What are some specific land use or zoning reforms that you think would most quickly unlock the housing supply that we need? And what is Columbus Realtors actively advocating for at the city and regional levels to get there?
So specifically, it's going to be zoning reforms and land use policy. Specifically, just like the economy in general, folks want certainty. And so developers, which by the way, developers is not a bad word.
Yeah.
When you
we need housing.
We need housing, right? And so they're not all big out-of-state corporations. These are a lot of them. Some of them are right here in Central Ohio, and we need housing. So developers from time to time get a bad rap, or that they're greedy and wealthy. They are also trying to provide a service. And so whether it's all around 270 in the suburbs and even pushing out into the rural area or into the core of Columbus, we need certainty. We need land use and zoning reforms, specifically that ease the burden, the regulatory burden. We still have life and health and safety standards that absolutely need to be met.
Yeah.
But rejecting a plan or continuing to have to go back to a building and zoning, a BZA, it just delays cost. It delays the building and increases the cost. I mean, developers are sitting on that land unused. And so we need zoning adjustments to modernize zoning codes, and City of Columbus is doing that as well as others. And just really eliminating the unnecessary barriers. And when you look at our competitive cities, and our competitive cities at this point are not Cleveland and Cincinnati,
right,
with all due respect. We're looking at Charlotte, Indianapolis, Raleigh, Kansas City, Austin, Nashville, others, right? Minneapolis. And how quickly they can go from an idea or a concept to someone living in that apartment or house is so much more quicker.
Right.
And they're building faster and building more. And so eliminating a lot of the barriers, and just making sure that our municipalities and townships have some expedited permitting processes, so it just doesn't continue to get delayed. So.
Yeah. And like I said, we need housing.
Yep.
And it adds up. The time adds up, the costs add up, and it in the long run, it affects the public.
Absolutely. It raises the cost, whether for a single-family home or for an apartment complex. I mean, I think you didn't ask this, but I'll say it anyway. I think a lot of folks, I should say a lot, from time to time, people believe, and even public and elected officials believe, that Columbus Realtors only cares about homes and or commercial. We care about housing for all.
Right.
Whether it's an apartment complex, a multifamily, we need everything from government subsidized housing to luxury and everything in between.
Yep.
It could be townhomes, multifamily, but we need all of it.
Perfect. Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. And so hopefully, and with your help and the help of others, that'll continue to progress, and how we'll continue to develop housing locally.
Yeah,
it's really important.
Those air quotes, first-time starter homes are almost non-existent.
Few and far between.
Exactly. And so there will be times where you have a conversation with a public or elected official, and you'll have a commercial member with you or a developer. And I even get asked this by some residential realtors from time to time. Well, there's no new builds for 150 or 200,000 anymore. Like, where are those? We can't afford them between labor, materials.
Yeah.
I mean, everything. The cost of housing is going up, and so government and municipalities should not add on to that burden of the permitting processes and just dragging all of that.
And it's a great point you make. My first house was a 3-bed, 1-bath, just over 1,000 square feet brick ranch on a slab. And for me and my wife, that was perfect. That was all we needed, and it set us up for success. That was a great first home for us. It was what we needed. We had a backyard, we had a nice home, and we didn't have more than we needed. That house was built, it was a mid-century home. You cannot buy a brand new home with those specs today.
Nope.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. Yeah, and that's similar. My first house, I remember where I bought it. And what I paid for it, I was in Worthington Schools, City of Columbus, POW address, Franklin County.
Nailed it.
Yeah. So, that house, what I bought it for in 2010 to what it most recent transfer is astronomical.
Oh yeah.
And then my now wife and I, we had a house in Arlington in River Ridge, and now you see some of the prices in River Ridge, and you're like, wow, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a different time, but the affordability and totality, which is interesting. I will say this, and we can move on. We are still a very affordable market.
We really are. We really are.
And you're within a day's drive of 60% of the population, and so this is why you're not starting. I mean, we are a defense hub now. I mean, we are really with. There was some cash recently injected into the Intel investment, and so with Androl and all the other companies, it's not just about Intel. Kenny McDonald and One Columbus has done an excellent job of bringing jobs here. And as John Melkai, the former executive director of the BIA, often said, homes are where jobs go to sleep at night.
I love that.
And so we need homes for employees, because this goes back to anything that's living.
Everybody needs a
place to live, and if you're not growing, you're dying.
Completely.
And so we need to continue to grow so that we do not become the cities that were once thriving and now are not.
Completely. Well, let's talk about some of the legislative agendas that Columbus Realtors have tackled. Property rights, first-time buyer access. What are 2 policy wins that you think would most materially improve affordability here in the next 24 months?
It really has got to. Vincent Coleman, our government affairs director, is beating the drum on zoning reform. Zoning reform, and really the expedited permitting process in eliminating a lot of the government barriers. Educating these public and elected officials. We have doubled down on our advocacy efforts at Columbus Realtors. Our board of directors, our budget and finance committee board of directors, authorized some additional funds for staff for me to go hire additional government affairs staff. Everybody wants to believe that Columbus Realtors is the MLS. They're 2 separate entities.
Yes.
They're 2 very separate entities. I am very proud of the education efforts that we're reimagining. So education is primary and going to be a big focus of what we're doing at Columbus Realtors, and will continue to be. But the advocacy work, but for Columbus Realtors, who's advocating for our members' business?
Right.
And it's one of those things, you don't need an attorney until you need an attorney. But if you don't have our advocacy team and our volunteer leaders out there meeting with public and elected officials, all of the bad policy ideas and explaining, and that's not a fault of policymakers or public and elected officials. They cannot be an expert in every industry. They cannot be experts in manufacturing or medicine. They're trying to pass policies to help benefit, but oftentimes when it comes to real estate, it's the unintended consequences that it's our job to educate them. And that's our job, is to be a resource.
Mm-hmm. And you do a great job, so thank you. Let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned the MLS. Let's talk a little bit about technology tools that the Columbus Realtors provide. You mentioned nearly 10,000 members.
Yep.
And we got a multi-county MLS footprint here. What are 1 to 2 tech or data investments you're prioritizing to give agents an edge in pricing, inventory intel, or client experience?
So interesting you asked that, because I don't know if you're even aware. We have created our 2025 President Buffy Patterson,
Mm-hmm.
and she and I have talked at length about what products and services are we going to continue to offer to our members.
Yeah.
And she put together a technology task force to look specifically at what tools or products or services can we offer to our members. We actually just sent out a technology survey so that we are thinking about what our members want.
Mm-hmm.
And we have members that make up that technology task force, obviously. But we're not just thinking about what our members want. We want to hear from our members. So we've had several meetings. We are going to, hopefully, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, we are going to take several new technology products to our MLS board of directors in the coming weeks, to provide them as an option that have been vetted by this task force to send to the board of directors for approval.
Mm-hmm.
We have another tech task force coming up where we have 3 additional vendors coming in to the task force to demo and promote their product to see if it could be a good fit for us. The difficulty with some of it, though, is we don't want to compete against our brokers.
Uh-huh.
Our brokers, often have competitive benefits or tools, tricks, what tips, services that they provide. So we need to be cognizant that we're not competing against brokers and let brokers compete against brokers.
Yep.
But we still have a job to do for our membership as well, so that they can serve clients.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, you're going to see some value add type technology potentially. There's technology out there that allows realtors to really track what they're doing and provide that real time to their agent or to their clients.
Mm-hmm.
There's additional data out there. There are vendors that provide a ton of data, as you know. So we're looking at even some rental options. So with Columbus being the 13th, 14th largest city in America, there's a rental segment out there that needs to be capitalized on.
Yeah.
And served.
It's pretty untouched.
Exactly. So we're looking at all types of technology. And there's a survey that is, I believe it's still going to be currently active.
Mm-hmm.
So I encourage our members to go out and fill out that survey and let us know what you need.
Cool. Well, I will make sure that I fill that out as well. Thank you for highlighting that. One of the things that Columbus Realtors provides is the standard forms and the member education. Can you walk us through a change that you guys have made to the standard forms and the education that you believe has improved both realtor and consumer experience since August 24, the changes?
Yeah, I think without going line by line, we just had some pretty significant changes in our exclusive right to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And our purchase agreement. But it all comes down to the word disclosure.
Yep.
Our members, and we try to put it, I'm going to take a step back and make sure that everyone understands that our forms are voluntary.
Mm-hmm.
You do not have to use Columbus Realtors forms. It's truly voluntary, and it is a huge member benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't use our forms, and there are some brokerages that don't, which is perfectly fine, right? But if your brokerage doesn't provide it, think about what you're going to be paying an attorney.
Right.
Our members can't practice law. You're not you don't have a law license. You have a real estate license, and practicing law will get your real estate license arguably revoked.
Not a good move.
Not a good move. So I would advise against that. But our forms really want to get down to the disclosure to the consumer, and that's the primary revisions. Again, that, as you said earlier, compensation needed to be removed from the MLS, but the settlement did not eliminate compensation.
Right.
So it's disclosing to the consumer who is getting paid by whom and how. So there's just a lot more. There's a lot more disclosures in those forms.
What I will say personally, as a broker and as a realtor, I think I saw great improvement on the standard residential purchase contract. I think that there's a lot more clarity involved in just the boilerplate fields that are filled out, and I appreciate it because I'm writing a lot less into the beginning, just at the front there of, hey, this, that, and the other. It's a lot more just fillable now.
Yep, exactly.
So I my personal experience. Well, let's zoom out a little bit and talk about community impact and the realtor role beyond transactions. The Columbus Realtors Foundation has invested more than $600,000 in community impact since 2008. Which grant or scholarship story do you think best captures how housing stability ripples through a neighborhood?
Wow, I don't want to pull just one, but there are so many different projects that our foundation is involved in. And we work with so many different organizations, and I know if I start naming them, I'm going to forget some of those. But we had a huge investment several years ago on the South Side with South Side Renaissance, and really trying to revitalize that area. Even on the West Side and in the Hilltop, our members, Vista Village is another one that we've worked with. So, I don't want to start naming a lot of them, but our members are inherently givers. And we want to make sure that Columbus Realtors is a place that also can help our neighbors. Our entire foundation is set up not only to help our individual members. If we have a member in need, we have the benevolence program that allows the foundation to help members who are in need, down and out on tough times, whatever that might be. So we not only do we help our own members with the foundation, we help other organizations that we provide grants to. We provide scholarships. The foundation provides scholarships to those interested in getting their broker's license or becoming a real estate licensee. But then we also, like you said, John, really invest in huge projects throughout Central Ohio and giving back to the community. So, we all benefit when we're growing, but we all want to make sure that we're supporting the place that we live, work, and play for a betterment of all of Central Ohio.
Completely.
Yeah, and that goes back to, foundation and Realtor Care Day as well.
That's a big one.
And all the projects throughout all of Central Ohio that our area associations and industry partners, their day of service that Skip Weiler started back when he was president, just to continue to give back to our communities.
Perfect. What would you say is one policy or practice in Columbus that you think that other metros that are fast growing like Columbus might be able to copy effectively and to their benefit? And what would you say is one thing that we should borrow to accelerate attainable housing? And I think you may have kind of answered that already.
Yep.
But I would love to hear what you have to say.
I would encourage municipalities across the state, not just or across the country. Sorry, not just municipalities here, but cities across the country, we actually do have a really good short-term rental policy. Now, there have been some issues recently with short-term rentals, but there's bad actors, and that policy and those laws allow law enforcement and the city of Columbus to deal with those bad actors. But our short-term rental policy is a great policy in my mind here in Central Ohio, well, specifically Columbus. The other, not specific policy, but the Columbus way, Central Ohio way. We are a very collaborative community. We are. Everybody knows everybody. I mean, we are a really small, big city. Yeah. And that isn't a specific policy, but you don't have to go too far north or south, east or west to realize that there are there are metros and cities that do not work together as well as we do. And that's not just even as a society, but as organizations, as brokers, I mean, all across the board. So I think the quote-unquote Columbus way, but it's really the Central Ohio way. The one thing we have to do better is eliminating a lot of the unnecessary regulatory processes and holdups of building and zoning. We have to move beyond the anti-growth, the NIMBYism, and the holdup to, again, I'll reiterate, we need health and safety standards. Sure. Without question. But the unnecessary regulatory burdens and holdups is what's hindering our growth.
Completely. And we're working towards that, but it takes time. It's progress. Yep. Well, let's look ahead. Let's look to the future. Looking ahead 5 years, what would you say is a bold prediction that you might have for the Columbus Realtor experience that you think might surprise a lot of realtors?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it's going to be technology and AI. I don't believe that's not a bold prediction. I do not believe AI is going to drive realtors out. Just like, I'm actually still old enough to remember, members thought the MLS books when MLS became electronic, it was online, that consumers didn't need a realtor. You have portals that third party portals that came in and competed and have our brokers' data. Yep. It's still, realtors are still alive and working and doing it well. AI is going to be the same. It's not going to put, I don't believe it's going to put realtors out of business. I don't believe, the only I think realtors that will be put out of business by AI are those who don't embrace AI.
Completely.
And it's here.
It will look different.
It's going to look very different. And I think our organization, I think Columbus Realtors as a membership organization, as an association, will also look different.
I would say almost every organization is going to look different.
Yeah, 100%. So, I hesitate if I should say this or not, but do we have 10,000 members? I often say I would rather have fewer members doing the right thing, treating the consumers the way they should be treated, than to say that we have 10,000 members. Right? I mean, that's a great number to have. Right. But in and of itself, the association will be sustainable. Yeah. It will be here. And we're going, there's an association for everything. Now, that doesn't mean we can just hang our hat on that. We have to compete as well. We have to talk about our value and the value that we are delivering to our members, whether it's advocacy, education, forms, the foundation, all the items that we're doing. But we have to talk about our value as well. I think the association will look different. I think our members' jobs will look different, and embrace AI now. Yeah,
technology is going to be, it's going to look very different in 5 years.
Yeah, there's platforms out there now that I'm sure you know about and many of our consumers know about, where you can put a bed or a dresser or couches in its quote unquote virtually staged, and then you can click buy now from your retailer. and it's incredible technology it's here and it's coming. So, I think that excites me because I think it's an opportunity. I love the unknown and embracing it and figuring out how we maneuver with it.
I do too. I'm excited about it personally, and I am working very hard internally to embrace it now so that it doesn't sneak up on me, my business, and our agents here.
Yeah.
It's very important, and it's always at the forefront of my mind personally.
We have a tech day coming up in the fall, and I don't even want to correlate it to the trade show because it is a totally different event. We used many years ago when I first started, we had a trade show and a bunch of vendors with our typically affiliates were there. This is going to be a day in the fall that we are planning right now that is specifically tech-driven, AI. And AI, some people get bored with or it's not for me. You have to embrace it.
Yeah.
You have to embrace it.
Get on the bus or get left behind.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to several of my staff. I talked to several of our members. They talk to their AI like it's their wife or spouse or partner sitting in the car.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I have not embraced that aspect. But it's ridiculously accurate. There's an AI prompt that I'll share this and we can keep moving. But there's an AI prompt that says, given all the data and information that you have on me, tell me who I am to my core and do not sugarcoat. And I've done that a couple of times, and it is wickedly, wildly accurate. So what's out there it's out there.
Yeah, it is. Do you have a date for that technology day?
I do.
We can put it in the notes.
Okay, yeah, we'll put it in the notes. I have it. I could find it quickly, but yeah.
Cool. Well, when people talk about this era of growth and change, what do you hope that they would say about Brent Swander and what he did for agents, realtors, consumers, and the fabric of Columbus?
I hope, one, they know that we are going to listen to our members. We are coming over that hill of really being a leader and not being I don't know how I really want to say that. Not that we were ever a follower, but complacent in that we as an association took everybody for granted. I want to compete for our members' membership. I don't want our members to believe that they have to be members, which I use quote unquote air quotes, have to be members. I want to compete for business just like every other retailer or car dealership or any other service that our members provide. I also want to ensure that our members know we are the voice of real estate in Central Ohio.
Yeah.
We have the data, we have the information, we have the analytics. We are the ones delivering the voice of real estate in Central Ohio. To the public and elected officials, I want to make sure that they all know that we're a resource. We are here to help, whether that's educate something that they may or may not know, the unintended consequence, but that we're also promoting pro-housing legislation and working with them and certainly not against them. And I want the consumers to know that realtors are here to serve. They are here to help guide them through the process to the best of their ability in a professional manner. And I think if we can accomplish some, or if not all of those items, but we as an association have a job to serve our membership and to compete not only on the association side, but on the MLS side. There's a big broker out there that says, I wish that MLSs and associations had to compete like I have to compete for consumers' business. And that hits home, right? So I want to make sure that I'm talking to our brokers, to our members, and just out there. Going back to staff, a lot of folks will say, yeah, Brent may or may not be in the office all that much. But I think that really goes back to this is a relationship business.
Completely.
Sitting behind a computer, I don't believe is exactly what I was hired to do. Now, there are times that is obviously required. But if I have the team in place to do their jobs, I want to be out being a visionary, while our team are really executing on the vision that the board has set, that we have set collaboratively and working together. So just like your business, our business is all relationships too, and that's what makes this job fun.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave it at that. The relationship aspect of this industry is one of my favorite parts. And so I'm glad that we're aligned in that. And I really appreciate you coming on. This has been a great conversation. I've truly enjoyed it.
Thanks, John.
So thank you very much.
I have too.
And we'll look forward to continued conversations. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Well, that was an incredible conversation with Brent Swander, CEO of Columbus Realtors. We explored how leadership rooted in principles can guide an organization through massive industry change, why affordability and supply remain the defining issues for Central Ohio, and how realtors are stepping up to serve not only their clients, but their communities. I want to give a huge thank you to Brent for sharing his insights and vision for the future of real estate here in Columbus. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with somebody who cares about the future of our city. And don't forget to follow us along on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Columbus Brick by Brick. Or visit us at columbusbrickbybrick.com for more episodes. This is Columbus Brick by Brick, where every brick has a story, and we're here to tell it. We'll see you next time.